Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Today I thought I'd take a look at a hardcover book. This is not an omnibus. This is a hardcover of the Punisher Circle of Blood 5-issue limited series that came out in 1985. It's still available even though it's been in print for a long time. It's not terribly expensive. You can find it on Amazon still. It's on eBay. If you like The Punisher, this is a good series. It's not The Punisher's first appearance by any means. That was Amazing Spider-Man 129. I was a little too young to have made that issue and get to see that appearance. I had to get a little older first before I was able to get into those comics. But I knew of the Punisher, anti-hero, not a superhero. I thought he was interesting in that he was the lone superhero that I knew of that actually killed the villains. He was truly a vigilante and took the law into his own hands and had quite a tragic backstory. Vietnam veteran, Special Forces training, U.S. Marine. He had, after serving in Vietnam, he'd returned to the U.S. and he was at the park in New York with his family when a mob hit took place and his family got caught up in it. His wife and child were murdered. He survived, and after that, he took on his war took a war to crime. That's when he started his war on crime. This series, as far as I know, was the first time that the Punisher had his own title. It had not, he'd been a supporting character, a reappearing character for several years in Marvel Comics, but I believe this was the first time he had his own title. Here's the cover, of course. Here's the spine. And here's the back. This retailed for $19.99 back in the day. You're probably not going to find it for $19.99, but I don't think you're going to pay much more than that. It's just basic black in here. No art or embossment of anything, just the title. So nothing spectacular. There's the splash page here, Circle of Blood. The writer for this series was Stephen Grant and artist Mike Zeck for all the issues but the last one. Got a foreword by Carl Potts from 1988. Here was the very first issue. It was a double-size issue. I remember it well. I was a teenager, and me and my friend, who was a fellow comics fan, we just thought this was just cool. Punisher in his own title. We snapped this up as soon as we saw it. I mean, it was like, oh, we gotta get this. Interestingly, it says it was a 4-issue limited series. Turned out to be 5. I think that happened because this issue was so popular. I think they decided to extend the story a little bit. If I'm wrong, let me know. It's been a long time, and I don't quite remember the history of it because, again, I was a teenager. But if I recall, it was supposed to be a 4 issue limited series, but they changed it to 5 due to the popularity. So, anyway, uh, pages are really nice, kind of kind of glossy. Kind of reminds me of the Marvel Masterworks in a way. Uh, Mike Zeck's art is great. It's a good story by Stephen Grant. Starts off with the Punisher in prison, uh, and he's dealing with the criminals there in his own way. A lot of them are scared of him, some are not, and he ends up getting into fights with them and wades through them, really. Here's Jigsaw. This is one of his arch enemies. Jigsaw has a personal beef with him because the Punisher at one time threw him through a plate glass window and his face was severely damaged. And that's why they call him Jigsaw, because his face looks like a jigsaw puzzle. So he has it out for the Punisher. He ends up getting broken out of prison by, actually, believe it or not, the warden. He gets set up and supposedly left for dead by a mob leader who organized an escape. But the Punisher interfered. They thought they'd killed him, but they hadn't. Here he is with the warden and fighting against Jigsaw. The warden turns out to be a member of this trust that wants to fight crime, wants to get rid of criminals, and they offer him the chance of, quote unquote, an escape, not a pardon, an escape with all his gear so that he can continue his war on crime if it'll work for him. Well, the Punisher decides why not. So this is a really cool image of him putting his costume back on. Of course, his costume is now iconic. I've always liked that skull and chest emblem that he wears. Again, great artwork by Mike Zeck. This is an action-filled storyline. So if you like action, this is it. Now, he's not involved with any other superheroes. The only supervillain, if you will, is Jigsaw, and I really wouldn't call him a supervillain because he's really more of a crime boss than anything. So this is the Punisher going after organized crime and really the trust. The trust is not all it seems to be. I had a funny incident with this issue when I was a teenager. My grandmother was visiting us, and I had just come back from my local comic store, and this was one of the issues I'd picked up because, of course, I was reading the limited series, and that came out that month. And she was just horrified. She was like, "Oh, that's horrible. Look at that man. You know, how could you get that?" And I was like, "It's the Punisher." She was not impressed and not happy. As you can see, actually, it still says in issue number 3, 4-issue limited series. So it wasn't considered a 5-issue series yet. Mike Zeck is just really good at doing this. Can anyone tell me what else that Mike went on to do? I I know he did some other comics, but to be honest, I'm not sure. So if any of you know what did Mike Zeck do after this, please let me know. I'm I'm interested. I like his artwork. I remember getting this issue again, 4-issue limited series. It it was still only supposed to be 4 issues, but I remember in 1985, the Punisher having his own series was really cool. Fighting crime, having somebody that would take out the bad guys was very much in the minds of people in the 80s. I mean, you had movies like, Rambo, Lethal Weapon, those types of films where the good guys take out the bad guys. So this was very much a product of its time. Here, issue number 5, and they called it a 5-issue limited series. Like I said, I think because the series was so popular, they added another one. But someone correct me if I'm wrong. Even though this is from the 80s, it's still very readable. It's a good storyline. It's a Punisher storyline that I've always enjoyed. I do have a Punisher omnibus, and there are several omnibuses out there if you're interested in the Punisher. Punisher Max. I can't remember the name of the man. Did Rick Remender? Maybe that's not right. Anyway, Punisher has become more popular in recent years. So there's omnibuses out there. I've only got one, but I wanted to review this. There are a lot of extras in this. You've got the painting of cover number 1 and the pencils of it by Mike Zeck. Same thing with issue number 3, number 2, and number 5 covers. Number 4 covers, the sketch of number 4 cover. A painting that Mike did. Here are the covers of the trade paperbacks that came out after the hardcover when was released. They came out with trade paperbacks. This is a sketch by Mike Zeck. This cover actually predates Mike's work on the Punisher. He did this for the official Marvel Index to the Amazing Spider-Man number 5. So that came out beforehand. This is a Punisher house ad. Some more Punisher sketches. There's quite a few of those. Here we have a Punisher portfolio from 1986 done by Mike Zeck. Great job as always. And here we have the Punisher's entry from the official handbook to the Marvel Universe, the deluxe edition that was in 1986. And Mike came back and did the artwork. Now, if you've got the omnibus of the official handbook to the Marvel Universe, you've already got this. It's in there. I do not have that. Here's a Punisher poster. The only problem with this is there is some gutter loss here, so it's not very good. But here we have Amazing Spider-Man number 285. Punisher appeared in that story, and that was from 1987. So Mike did come back to do that. Here's the poster that had the gutter loss. That's what it looks like. Anyway, it's a good storyline. After this, it was so popular, they came out with a regular series of The Punisher. And I remember having that first issue of The Punisher. I collected The Punisher for a while. Got out of comics a little later, but I enjoyed the time. I enjoyed the time with the Punisher, reading his adventures. It was a different set of storylines than your average superhero. So if you like it, go online, get yourself a copy. It's quite easy. It's not expensive. So thank you for joining me. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you real soon. Bye.